And we're live! Woohoo! Welcome along to the live stream. For those that don't know me, let me introduce myself. Hello! I'm Gavin Hoey. I'm one of the presenters right here on Adorama TV. Welcome to Adorama TV's YouTube channel. If you're watching the recording of this, you might want to skip ahead a few minutes. If you're watching the live version, welcome to the live. Anything could happen in the next hour. It's super exciting. Let me know where you're watching this from. Yeah, I never know. It's not just me. There's a few people in here, but it's kind of weird. Me talking to a camera, but hopefully there's a few people watching us. I'm not on my own, however. I have a few people, so let me just introduce a few people. On the Super Switcher, you can't see her and you can't hear her, but it's the awesome Freya. See? Nothing at all. And then on the chat comments, if you're in the chat live, then you'll be talking to the amazing Sam, and she does have a microphone.
I do. What a mistake.
Have you actually put the microphone on?
No, I have. Oh, no, I haven't.
No, you haven't put the microphone on.
No, I haven't. I've nearly got the mic. See, I'm shouting enough. Hopefully everyone can hear. There we go.
Hours of preparation.
Hours of preparation, and then fluffed at the first post. Hello, everyone. We've got lots of people watching. Do you want to know where they're all from?
Oh, maybe not all. Let's
not
just
all
kind of
just
slim
a
it
few.
down a little bit.
Yeah, okay. So maybe go for some more unusual places. Okay.
Let's do that.
Tanzania. Lovely. Yeah. That's great. Tennessee. I'm going for the T's. Can you tell? And we've got New Brunswick in Canada. Nice. And one closer to home, Milton Keynes.
Milton Keynes.
Yeah.
Oh, who doesn't love a bit of Milton Keynes? Those
honestly,
roundabouts. Amazing
places. Oh, Toronto. I'm back on the T's. Malaysia. Oh no, I've missed that. Reno in NV. Is that Nevada? And some ones closer to home, Hampshire, Serbia. Oh, amazing!
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, a little highlight into everyone.
Super. Thank you very much for joining me from wherever you're joining me from. We are live, which means if you've got any questions and you want to do anything, there's some great things happening behind the camera. Anything could happen, so feel free to put your questions in the comments. Sam, if she can sort herself out, we'll be able to answer the questions. Are you all right over there? I'm just going to check that they're okay. Yeah. A little buzzy. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, we're just going to keep going as long as it's just Sam. That's fine. Right, what are we doing? Boom arms. So this session is all about boom arms and boom basics. I kind of called it that because I liked it, the alliteration of boom basics sounded like a great alliterative title, but it is going to be basics because I'm going to show you different ways that I use boom arms and grip arms in my small home studio. But before we get going with any photography, let's just clarify what it is I'm actually talking about, because I have a selection of boom arms that I've acquired through the years. If you want to find out more, there's some links in the video description to some of the stuff I'm using. I've got boom arms from this, which is my heavy-duty boom arm, right the way down to my very first boom arm, which I still own, which is this kind of super light, flimsy, terrible boom arm, but actually a really useful thing, because as you'll see as I go through this, I don't use boom arms necessarily for the purpose for which they might have been designed. They're very, very useful. Boom arm is this. So a boom arm compared to a grip arm. So I'm going to come a bit closer so you can see me a little bit clearer. This is a grip arm. It normally comes as part of a C-stand. I think you can buy them on their own. And this is a boom arm. The fact that it's bigger is one thing, but what for me differentiates a grip arm from a boom arm is a boom arm usually, in my experience, extends. So you can make it bigger or smaller. A grip arm is a fixed length of metal. And also a boom arm, if I can undo it, will pivot. It has a pivot point, so you can slide it along like that. So a boom arm has a bit more flexibility in how you use it. And we're going to use both a boom arm and a grip arm in this little session. This is a short one. This is a little 20-inch grip arm. Normally they come with something more like a 40-inch grip arm if you buy a C-stand. This is from a small C-stand, which gives you a small grip arm. So that's what we're going to be using through this session. Let's put these out of the way. And I'm going to start by setting something up. We'll bring our model in a little bit, but for now, I'm going to do something that might be a little bit dangerous if you have a model underneath what I'm going to do. So let's set this up. I'm going to set up my little boom arm over here in the corner. There we go. because boom arms usually are designed to put lights at the end. That's normally what you'd do with a boom arm. You'd set it up and you'd put a light at the end, maybe a camera at the end. I've done that before. But today, for the first setup of 3, we've got 3 different looks to do during this hour, I'm actually going to set this up as a very expensive curtain pole, effectively. Because you can use a boom arm for gripping and hanging things, and in this case, it's going to be some fabric. So, I've got some fabric. Here we go. Let's go grab some clamps as well, which I seem to have misplaced. And we're going to put a clamp on there, and a clamp on there. Now, before I hang this up, I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping just to make sure everything is okay. The other thing about a boom arm is, normally at the end, there is a hook, which allows you to hook a weight to counterbalance it. Now, I'm going to talk a lot more about counterbalancing as we go through this session, but for now, it's just counterbalanced. The other thing I need to do is put a sandbag on the foot. I'm using a C-stand, so I put a sandbag over the high foot, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. That's just to make it a bit safer, because I don't want to drop this on our great model. And then I'm going to hang up the fabric. Here we go. So if you're just tuning in, welcome along to Adorama TV's live stream. You have tuned in to watch a man hang fabric on a boom arm. Wow, it's exciting, isn't it? It gets better, trust me. Here we go. Let's pop that in there. And we'll elevate that up in the air. Here we go. The downside of hanging the weight off of the boom arm is the whole thing becomes much heavier when you start lifting it up. So it does help to have a really strong light stand. One that can support that weight really well. And this isn't heavy. It's going to get heavier before we get lighter. Oh, here we go. So the fabric I'm using today is a fake, well, I suppose it was supposed to be leather, but it's not really. It's sort of a PVC type fabric. And it stretches out really nicely. You can remove all the creases, but I'm actually trying to keep the creases in. So I'm just going to put a little bit of wood along the bottom here just to space it out like that. Okay, so there we are. First boom arm in action. Way up there, just out of shot, is the boom arm, and that is effectively just hanging this rather nice fabric up like that. Okay, easy so far, no problem. Let's get a light in. And the light, oh, it's already here. Okay, so lights. Today we are using flashpoint lights. Let's bring them closer to the camera so you can see what I'm using. Here we go. So my first light is going to be this one, which is the Flashpoint Evolve 200 Pro. Pro is important. It goes down a slightly lower power than the non-Pro version, which can be very, very handy indeed. I've just got a standard reflector on it, bare bulb, lovely. Let's put that into the shot. And we'll get this the right way around. Okay. What have I done with my C-stands? There we go. Tuck the leg underneath. Great. Okay, so that's fine. I can just elevate this up in the air. Top tip, the bit, what do I always forget when I'm doing these? What do I always forget to do? Because I've forgotten again, but I've remembered. It's fine. Yeah, turn it on. Turned it on. Great stuff. Okay, so lights in position. All we need now is the most important part of this entire process. It's an awesome model, and we are so blessed. We have the best model that money could buy on a Thursday evening in the UK. Give Katie a huge hello in the comments. Come on in, Katie. Woo! So this is fun because Katie has been a model for us for a couple of occasions, but you've not seen her yet because those videos haven't come out. So they're coming. I think Katie's first video comes out next Thursday. So Katie's worked with us a couple of times and is going to be the model for the live stream. Yeah, fantastic. I need to set a couple of bits up, so just talk amongst yourselves very briefly whilst I make all this work, and we'll just make sure we have a flash that actually fires. We do. Okay, we're good. Photo of the day. Don't put that on the screen. Okay. Are you all right?
I'm buzzing.
You're buzzing. Okay, hang on a sec. I'm just going to go and do a quick bit of audio reparations. Oh yeah, you can just use that one. There you are. Freya has fixed the problem. Do you want to try that, see if it works? Say hello.
Hello.
Is it working? Hey!
There you are. Problem solved. Right, okay. Okay, we're back on plan. So I've got my light set. Katie, you're just going to stand roughly in the middle. Thank you very much. We're going to take the worst picture I can of Katie. It will get better. Here we go. So Katie, I'm going to hold our little flash meter close to your chin, and we're going to see what light we get here. I'm going to be shooting at f8. That's the plan. And what do we always do when we take our first picture here at Adorama TV? We have a thing we always do. We turn the flash off. We dial in some default settings. Flash sync speed, 250th of a second. Native ISO, 200. My aperture, f8. Okay, and we take a photo at those settings just to see what we get. No flash firing. I love the way Katie poses. Because this photo is going to be basically black. Yeah, you can put it on the screen. There you go. No flash, no photo. That means we've got control of the room lights. The video lights are extremely bright. We have control of the room lights. Okay, let's get a photo we can actually see. Here we go, Katie. Fantastic. And this is what we're getting. Okay, that's not too bad. I've taken worse.
Can you take a question?
Yeah, of course I can.
There we go. What do you fill your sandbags with? That's Chaz.
Really good question. Chaz, that is a great question. Sandbags. I've got a whole bunch of sandbags here. I used to use sand. Then I quickly realised that sand is not the thing of choice. I actually use gravel. So my sandbags are full of gravel. We've got quite a bit of gravel around us here. So a bit of spare gravel from the garden in the sandbag. I tend to find works better. So that's what I use. Okay, so another use of of grip arms and boom arms. This is a 20-inch C-stand. It only goes up a little bit, and that's as high as it goes. If I want my C-stand to go higher, a grip arm allows me to go higher than the height of whatever light modifier you're using. So alternative use for one of these is as an extra elevation to your light. Is it still in the frame? It just is, isn't it? Yeah, there it is. Perfect. Pretty good. So that will give me a more angled light. I've put a grid on there as well just to give a bit more direction to this light. Let's see how it goes. Okay, that is a lot more directional. I'm going to go a bit wider and hopefully we can see the light a bit clearer. Okay, there we go. So this is one of my favourite little techniques. Pop a light on an angle, beam it down, really nice. The grip arm gives me the extra height that I can actually do that and get it right up against the ceiling for that more diagonal light rather than horizontal light. Katie, can you look towards the light but don't look at the light because it can really hurt? Here we go. Oh, you might have blinked, but don't worry, I got you well before you blinked. Let's go double check. Yeah, you did not get a chance to blink. Okay, cool. So that gives us a nice downward light. That's kind of nice. It picks up the texture of the background. Let's see if we can improve this a little bit. So I'm going to grab another light. Just stuck in the corner. So professional. It's the real world. And another flash. I've got another Flashpoint Evolve 200. So let's keep it the same just for now. It's on a separate group, so I can set this to a separate power. What I'd like this light to do is just push a little bit of light forward, just to put a bit of fill into that photo. It was all a bit dark and moody, which I like, but I'd like a bit of fill light. Now, the problem is, I want it to be on camera or close to on-camera access. I mean, I don't know if anyone can spot any problems. It kind of doesn't really work, does it? You know. So I need to do something to make this better. And that's where a boom arm or a grip arm is really going to come in to help. So this is a little short 20-inch grip arm. It's my favourite. I love this one. So a little short one doesn't have to be a long, full-sized grip arm to be useful. And in fact, the shorter ones I find way more useful. It also has a little flat spot. So when you tighten your light down, it doesn't spin, which my other grip arms don't have. And I wish they did. Okay, so we're going to pop that there. And because it's really not a long distance, it's only a little bit of distance away, I don't have to worry about sandbagging this one. It's absolutely fine. I mean, I say that and I'll probably trip over it in a minute and knock the whole thing flying. But hey, that's alive for you, isn't it? Okay, so let's see what this light is doing. The minute you start adding multiple lights in, it's very easy to get lost as to what each light is doing. So I'm going to turn off the key light and just run with the little fill light. And this one is not the Pro version. This is the standard Evolve 200. So it only goes down to 1/128th, I say only, down to 1/128th power. So that's where it's going to be, 1/128th power, right at the bottom.
You take a question?
Yeah, I can take a question.
I've got to find it now. So it's, as you were talking about the lights, Nick asked, which light do you consider to be your key light?
Okay, the key light is a really good question. It's normally the one that's lighting the model's face for me. That's kind of the key light, because that's the key thing I'm photographing. That's a really good question. I haven't really sat down and thought about it. Sometimes it just feels organic that your main light, normally the one that for me is, yeah, it's lighting the model's face. God, that's a good question. Blimey. Yeah. I bet there's somewhere there is a textbook answer to that, but that's my honest answer. Can we go back to that photo, Frey? So that's what the fill light is doing. It's putting a little bit of light into the shadows. We've got a little bit of light down here, so we have something going on. It's not completely dark and black. And when we mix that with the main light, if I turn that back on, here we go. We'll try and take the same kind of shot again. We should get a little bit of fill, so we get some detail in the shadows and we get that diagonal light coming in. So that makes a nice little combination of lights. Now, none of the lights are in my way. I don't have to clone anything out. Everything is fixed in the camera thanks to the boom arms and the grip arms. So we can probably take a few photos like this. Are we good to go? No questions? Am I right? Yeah, I'm going to keep going. Brilliant. Here we go. So Katie gets to do her thing. And what you'll notice about Katie is if you wanted a static model who just stands there, don't hire Katie. Because Katie will keep moving fantastically well. And I don't have to direct her, which is, I love this. Katie, look up towards the light for me. Boom, don't look at the light. Just look a little past the light. You just looked at the light, didn't you? Yeah. Yeah. I like being punched in the face. It's so painful. Yeah, just look a little past the light. And there was me about to say Katie's a true professional. Awesome. So that works really well. So I love that. Let's see if we can make this a bit more interesting. So one thing you can do on any photo shoot is change something to see what happens. And the easiest thing to change isn't the lights. The easiest thing to change is the photographer. Well, not specifically change him, but change where I'm standing. So if I just come around to the side, do you want to do the, can we do that one? Am I on that camera? Hey, there we go. So rather than standing in front, I'm just going to come around to the side. And here we go, quick little test photo. Fantastic, let's see what we get. Okay, so I changed my position and it changes the look and feel of this photo. I might even turn the fill light off. Let's just turn the fill light off, see what we get. There we go, just without the fill light, which kind of looks completely different, doesn't it? That fill light was on its lowest possible power setting. Can't get it any lower than that, but I do have another plan. Okay, pretty good, looking up towards the light, fantastic. Oh yeah, I should have said we're going to take some photos, Katie. I'm getting this backwards. Okay, cool. Very, very edgy, very, very moody. So I've got an idea. I was going to use these later. I'll still use these later, but I'll still use this one now. Got it, there we go. I've got some coloured gels. What happens if I change the light, the photographer, and also change the colour of the light? I don't know. Let's find out. I think we're going to stick the blue on. Hang on, Katie. I've got to be a bit taller for this one. You had higher heels on when you arrived. You could definitely. Hang on. There we go. I could just drop the light down.
Do you know, I don't think that's proper use of it, but, you know.
You're kidding. That's why you buy a C-stand, for that extreme strength.
Do you know, shall I just check with Seth? Just to make sure?
Please don't check with Seth. I think Seth's busy at the moment, so he can't really help you. But yeah, absolutely. That's what they're there for. Just they're tough things, C-stands. Let's come around to the front first of all, just to see how this changes the shot. So I might need to move it, because I may have moved the light. I don't know what gives me that idea, but I might have moved the light. If you're watching us live, welcome along to the live stream. If you've got any questions, do feel free to pop them in the chat. Otherwise, it's just me and Katie chatting away here, taking photos, which I'm happy about. Okay, here we go, test photo. So you'll need to go a little bit more that way for me, thank you very much, and then you're into the light. Okay, that's kind of cool. Let's throw that fill light back in, because from the front, we definitely need it. Oh, and also, what happens if you add a gel? You lose a bit of light. So I should modify that. Okay, fill light on. I'm going to put the other gel on the fill light. Yeah, let's do it. Let's put the other gel on the fill light. So we've got blue gel on the key light, the one that's lighting Katie's face. Purple gel on the fill light, the one that's adding some light and now colour to the shadows. Let's take that up a little bit to estimate how much light I'm going to need. There we go. Oh, that works, doesn't it? Let's go have a little look. Let's see how we're doing. It's even in focus, a rare thing on my photography. Okay, Katie, here we go. No one needs to agree with that statement, by the way. That's kind of cool. I notice no one in the room is rushing to defend me whatsoever. It's like, yeah, he's so right. It's the things I have to put up with. Just ignore us, Katie. You keep doing your thing. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Okay, bang, there you go. And then let's just run around to the side. Here we go, last couple of pictures. Okay. Just need to look a little to your left. Okay. Oh, hello. I didn't get that one in focus. Don't show that one. There you go. Fantastic. So, yeah, taking the same basic idea and just adding a little bit of colour, splash of colour here and there, makes it look really good. Really important thing to point out, which is if you're going to do this, you need to set your camera to a custom white balance, or at least dial it into flash setting or sunny setting, so all of your pictures have a baseline white balance. You can fix it later in post, but if you start using auto white balance, your colours may not be consistent as you go through your shoot. But that's a whole nother live stream. Okay, we good? Okay, we'll keep going. So that worked quite well. I like that. We've got a couple of other things to try, so let's get rid of this particular setup. So if you've got any questions, now is a great time to start getting them in the chat. Got any questions for Katie? Stick them in the chat. I love it when models get questions.
I haven't anything for Katie yet, although there was lots of hellos at the beginning for you. So Jon asked, how do you find your models?
I find them really nice. They're lovely. Katie, do you want to go and just step out the way?
Is it by like word of mouth or from an agency?
Yeah, all of those. We're not really an agency. We don't tend to use agencies personally, but from Instagram. Great place to go find models on Instagram. Katie, we found. How did we find you? We found you. It was in a press day. That's right. So we went for a press day with Rotorlight. We're organising a press day, and they laid on a fantastic event with the Creativity Hub setting out. It's an amazing event. It was stunning, and Katie was my last model at the very end of that session. It was a sci-fi themed day. So it's 5 o'clock. I'm the last person up with Katie, and you might imagine after a whole day of press photos, she was really fed up and miserable. But no, you weren't exactly. You were brilliant. Which is one I kind of thought, actually, this is that's a good sign. Katie knows what she's doing. So that's how we found Katie at a press day. She impressed me by being amazing at the end of a long day. And that's the sort of thing you need in a model, someone that can keep going all day long and not complain. So that's how we found her. Good question. Okay, so let's go do something slightly different. I'm going to reveal a bit more of the paper background, I think. So let's bring this out. So, got this nice little grey paper background. I don't want to go quite that far, I think, but we'll just set this up. And we're going to do an overhead light shot. So we're going to use a boom arm to swing it way overhead and create some interesting light that way around. Bear with me whilst I set this up.
You take another question?
I will take another question.
So Nick asked, will the focal length of the lens affect how you light the model?
Will the focal length affect what, sorry?
Will the focal length of the lens affect how you light the model?
Oh, how I light the model. I thought it was how I like the model. How I like the model. It might. Sorry about the noise. It might make a difference. It genuinely doesn't. I don't normally light for a focal length. Normally I will light for a lighting scenario and then choose a focal length that fits in with that. So I tend to go the other way around. So if I'm doing a wide angle kind of shot, I will use lights that are fairly distant. But if I had lights that were close and then think, you know what, I want to do the entire scene, that's where it would then be a bit more tricky. So generally speaking, I decide on the look I'm going for and then light accordingly. That way around.
And I've got a question for Katie. So when a photographer asks to work with you, how do you decide to work with that photographer?
Yeah, you have the microphone. Definitely, you're on the mic.
Hello, Katie here.
Come around the front.
Stand in?
Yeah, come around. Yeah.
Sorry, it's my first time doing this with these guys, as you can tell. For me, reference checks is a very important one. I would say normally I'll take a look if they always ask for a website, any kind of Instagram page, mainly from a security perspective, but also because I love shooting with very talented photographers such as Gavin. So yeah, I think, does that answer the whole question? Was there anything else there? Lovely.
Okay. So okay, have a seat for a minute, Katie, because we're going to talk about boom safety. So this is my full-size boom arm. This is a heavy-duty boom arm. I put a link in the video description to give you I couldn't find exactly the same one. I've had this for absolutely years. So I found the sort of the nearest I could on Adorama and linked to that. But it's basically the same thing. It is heavy-duty. It slides both lengthways and also along its length. It has a little hook at the back to allow me to attach a weight to this. So if you're going to use a boom arm, there's a few things you want to do. The first thing is not drop it on your model. I think that's kind of 101, isn't it? I mean, I know if Daniel was here, what would Daniel say? I mean, if you've seen Daniel go live, his lives are amazing. He has a great little line that I really like, which is, if you're going to drop a softbox on your model, use a softbox because it's soft. He does it better than me, I have to say. He does it much better than me. I'm missing a battery. I'm just going to go and grab a battery. Oh, I've gone real Daniel now, haven't I? I've forgotten something.
Got it. I'll answer a question while you're gone. So
I didn't fall over Katie's bag in the changing room at all.
Would you recommend insurance? So I'll answer that because I do the insurance. So yes, if you're photographing anything really, you need some sort of insurance. So because we run a studio, we work on location, we have a very good insurance, and that covers anyone that we work with.
Does it cover me? Because I'm the biggest liability around here.
Yeah, it comes very expensive for you.
Yeah. Right, okay. So first thing to do is to add the weight at the end of the boom arm that you're going to be using. By and large, I will try and use my lightest kit on this sort of work, because the heavier you have your kit at this end, the more you have to compromise on what happens at this end. Because at the moment, if I undo the clamp, it's all going to go really badly wrong very, very quickly. So I can't undo the clamp because it would just instantly fall down and hit your model on the head. So that's not a good thing. So what you need to do is to counterbalance your opposite end of the boom arm. To do that, you need some weights. They can be anything from water bottles through to sandbags. I got this one recently. This is a Manfrotto one, which is, it's an odd shape because normally they're like saddlebags like this. But this one's perfect because it's just one single weight. And at the bottom of this is some lead, literally lead flashing from an old building project. It's heavy. Don't drop it on your toes. it doesn't deform like sand and gravel does. It's just a lead weight. So that's what I'm going to use. Weight-wise, it's probably about 5 kilos, maybe a bit more, which is some pounds. I've no idea what it is in pounds. So if I put that on the end, and I undo this little bit here, oh, you can see the problem. Now it's too heavy with the weight. Well, that's okay, because we're actually going to extend the arm out. And if I get it kind of balanced, I can go about there, and it's all balanced, pretty much. One finger job. Okay, so very, very much more balance. And if it isn't perfect, I can always move the center pivot point to adjust the balance accordingly. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're not looking to do the old scales when you're at school and you're trying to, balance it absolutely perfectly. It doesn't have to be precise, but it just has to be controllable. So I reckon that's pretty controllable, something like that. The other nice thing to do is not tighten up your light at this end too much. What's the important thing? What did I nearly forget to do? Nearly forgot. Turn it on. Goodness me, every time. So I'll tighten up that bit. I'll tighten up this bit, but I won't tighten up this. I want to have a little bit of flexibility. So this is the Explore 300. It has a nice fluid adjustment to it, where the 200 is a bit sort of clicky and it's either tight or not. This one has a little bit more control. So that's why I like using this particular lighting setup. And it's all perfectly smooth. Okay, safety. Okay, you'll also notice that Katie is not in the scene. And that's not a mistake. That's there because I kind of want Katie out of the scene because I just safe in it. Okay, there we go. Let's move that into there. Do something like that and lock it into place. So that's fine, but it's not very high off the ground. The ceiling height for my studio, and I've got some joists that I measured them just for you, are 8 feet off the ground or 2.4 meters. That one I can do. I've got a little bit more height than that between the joists, but not a lot. So let's get that up in the air. Ugh. If you thought it was heavy before, oh boy, now it's heavy. The other thing I should do as well is make sure this sandbag isn't here. So the sandbag needs to be around there. Okay. Oh, that's where the joists are. Don't normally get this disrespect in the studio. So I'm trying to put the tool leg with the sandbag on underneath the actual heavy part, which seems counterintuitive. You would have thought put it at the other end, but no, this is the right place to put it. Something like that. There we go. Can we zoom in a bit on the sandbag? Here we go, Fran. I'm going to give you a challenge. Hey, well done. It's pretty good. So the sandbag is floating in the air. Can you see that? So important that the sandbag is not touching the floor. If you see somebody's sandbag, well, let's do it. Doing that, where it's kind of just sat there, that's not doing anything. That is just holding the flooring onto the flooring. That's holding the stand down. So make sure that your sandbag is free floating, and if you want to, add another sandbag. There's no limit to the number of sandbags you can add. There we go. Perfectly safe, which is kind of good news. Okay, pretty good. Kind of happy with that. Okay, so you can sort of see on that one. Yeah. So I have the softbox up in the air. It's now a good, well, probably 7 feet off the ground, and that's about as high as I can get it in my small home studio. Any higher would be lovely, but that's about as good as it goes. Far away, Sam.
Brad said, did you turn the light on, Gavin?
I don't know, actually. I'm pretty sure I did. Let's find out, shall we? There's a modelling lamp in there. Yeah, there we go, it's on. Okay, there is indeed. Thanks, Brad. Okay, so that's pretty good. Right, Katie, do you want to come back in? So I'm going to position Katie so she is mostly underneath. Yeah, I'll find a camera angle that will show where we are. Bear with us. There we go. Let's just do that temporarily. How's that? Okay. So I've positioned Katie so that most of the light is in front of Katie. In fact, pretty much all of the light is in front of Katie. I might just move it a little bit. There we go. Is it easier to move you? That is a good question. I tell you, if we had a bigger studio, it would be. But in a small studio, every few inches does really count. So that's fine. That's good. The simple theory being the light needs to light the front of Katie and not the back of Katie. This is a 2 foot by 3 foot rectangular softbox. It's not huge because big ones are heavy softboxes, but it's big enough for what we need. Right. Enough theory. Let's take some photos. Okay, so we'll turn that light on. We'll make sure that my other lights are actually turned off so they don't fire. And we'll put it into manual mode. So I'm in manual mode for everything from my camera through to my flashes. In fact, the only thing that's not manual is the autofocus. Katie, I'm going to pop this near your chin. Always remember to check with your model before you just reach randomly in. Here we go. And I'm going to make my flash match my camera. So, oh, I'm tethered. Hang on, there we go. Stuck. Try to remove the faces. It will eventually find the... Can you see that? Yep, trust me, it says F8. Anyway, that's kind of, take my word for it. So my flash meter matches my camera. F8, we're good to go. Let's just untangle. I've got a whole bunch of cables that I managed to knot right up. Here we go. Oh, where's that one gone? Got it. Okay, so Katie, going to do a vertical head shot to feet shot. And Katie, being a true professional, knows to look up. Don't look up, look at me. Okay, don't look up this time. I'm going to do it wrong and I'm going to come in for a close shot. Okay. So if Katie doesn't look up, we have... Katie, don't look cross, you look great. Light in Katie's eye, but no catch light. Nothing in there that says catch light. Just look slightly up for me, Katie. So just a little bit of an elevated position and we get the light in Katie's eyes. You don't look as cross now, so that's better. And a little tiny catch light. So Katie's a professional. She knows this stuff, that she knows she has to look up towards the light. Question.
So Tony asked, what do you set your white balance to when shooting with flash in a studio?
Good question, Tony. Let's adjust this camera angle and I'll give you a little preview of the back of my camera. Here we go. Okay, so if I go to the back of the camera, settings, and there they are. So those are my camera settings. So native ISO 200, 250th of a second is the native flash sync speed for my camera, F8. And I have a custom white balance, CWB, of 5600K. So that's what I dial in. That's sort of my go-to settings. But I'm also shooting in RAW, so I have the ability to change it. And if you want to, get a little grey card or a colour checker passport, if you really want to nail your colours down accurately, then you can use those too. Okay, so that works pretty well. Where were we? Full length portraits. Let's see what we get. Okay, so you might have blinked. Half blinked, yeah, all right. I got that one I did get. The nice thing is I can sit down. There's a picture-in-picture you can turn on. Yeah, there we go. So looking at that, I think they're slightly under, just a little bit underexposed. So I'm just going to pop the exposure up. Your flash meter is a guide. You do not have to live and die by it. You can look at it and decide, actually, I'd like to change it slightly. Oh, this is fantastic. Sometimes my job is just too easy. Okay, here we go, Katie. We'll just take a few photos. Here we go, one light, overhead lighting. Remember to look up slightly. Perfect. Fantastic. And Katie's great. Every time she sees a flash, she'll keep moving, and she will keep going and keep going. Oh, fantastic. I mean, brilliant. There's a question.
Actually, a question for Katie.
I knew this was going to happen.
So Brad asked, how do you decide on what to wear after the type of shoot is decided. Do you have a giant wardrobe of outfits, or do you rent or borrow, or a thrift store, or do you rely on the photographer and tell them your sizing?
So I would say it depends very much on the shoot, what kind of shoot it is. So for example, these guys will always give me like an idea. A lot of photographers will maybe like take a look at my Instagram and send me reference photos of outfits I've shot in before, and I can sort of like build on that as an idea. I'm always happy to sort of send options over to people. I know some models are more sort of like, you get what you get when you're there. And some people will be really sort of free and say, okay, I like this colour scheme, or you bring whatever you want. I do have quite an extensive wardrobe. I'm also a professional dancer, so I've kind of got access to friends of mine who work in costume and that kind of thing, who will often lend me stuff. And then for a lot of events, there'll be styling provided already. So yeah, very much depends.
Good question. Okay, I'm going to do a couple in black and white as well, because I think these are going to look great in black and white. So I'm going to just dial in, same settings. Normally I would do my post-processing to black and white and do it that way around, so I'm out of shot. But I'm going to do it in camera just so you get a feel for how these look in black and white. And I know I'm slightly out of frame, but hey, there you go, let's see. So in black and white, it looks kind of good actually. That looks okay. I might tweak a few things. I'm going to tweak. Katie, do you just want to step out a second?
So I'm just going to do a shout out, because Seth's put there's 470 people watching.
470?
Yeah, which is
What?
amazing. But only 170 likes. So it'd be great if you can go and click the likes, carry on commenting. That would be fantastic. It means we can do more of these. Thank you.
Okay, so back where you were. So what I've done is I've just angled the lights. I don't know if it'll show on yeah, that one. Yeah, there we go. But watch what happens to the background. Go back to my computer, Frey. There we go. Let's just see what we get. Same kind of picture, but I've just angled that light behind. Can you see how it changed? So just moving the light a little bit. It wasn't much, but it's just enough to throw some light onto the background. And that looks fantastic. I'm just going to change. The trouble with black and white is often you find you want to put a little bit more light in, not a lot. So I've just pushed another third of a stop on the flashes. Okay, last one, here we go. A little bit of room to the side, always good to leave a bit of space. Okay, that looks great, looks so good. Yeah, fantastic. So that worked really well. How long have we got? We've got 15 minutes. We can do the last bit in 15 minutes, easy. So we've used our boom arm as a curtain holder. We've used the grip arms to make our light stands taller than they actually are. We've used the grip arms to move flashes out the way so they're not in the way. And we've used the boom arm to do overhead lighting and keep it safe. It actually hasn't fallen on you, has it? I mean, that's pretty good.
Touch wood so far.
I mean, minimum requirement from a shoot is don't drop anything on your model. After that, everything else, bonus. Okay, right, if you want to step out for a second,
Yeah.
I'm going to take this down. Freya, I don't know if you can sort of zoom in close over this bit here. Here we go, I'm going to give her a little challenge. That's probably, it's this camera, isn't it? Let's see if I can just zoom it in a little bit. Here we go, you need to angle it down, I think. Just over where my flash meter is. Hey, there we go, perfect, hello. Close up, this is kind of fun. So I've got to bring the weight of this down. Now, there's an easy thing to do, which is to hold it here, undo this, and now I've got all the weight in my hand right here. If I'm not really careful and I let go, this is going to come crashing down onto my hand. And you only do this once. That's not true. You only do this a few times. That's actually not true either. Every time I do it, it hurts. So try to grip either the bit here where it's not going to slide down onto your hand, or better still, try and do it with two hands and take your time. Okay, that's really important because you can have it come down with a bit of a crash and you don't want to squash your fingers. Also, when you're done, the first thing you want to do is when it's down to your height is take off the weight like that. So when I take the weight off the other end, this end, hang on a second, almost out of shot, but when I take the weight off this end, the whole thing doesn't just sort of tip over. Okay, so I slid it a bit closer so it's a bit more balanced. Okay, go back to the wide shot. That's great. Thank you very much. We'll zoom that one back out for later.
You've had a few questions about your tethering cable.
Yes.
Why you're using the cable rather than Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Yes. Why am I using the table and the cable? Why am I using both of those? Insert either one there. Simply because cables are more reliable. I've had cables go wrong all the time. It happens, usually at a trade show, although not this year. Wi-Fi is, I mean, at the mercy of Wi-Fi. We have Wi-Fi signals all the way around us in here with the internet and our phones. It's just one more thing that I can't control. So I prefer old school cables. They're just more reliable, especially when you're live, because the minute you're live, everything goes wrong. Guaranteed. The things you've rehearsed and you know inside out go horribly wrong the minute you hit go live. So I'm using a Tether Tools extension cable or repeater cable. If you go beyond sort of 3 meters, 10 feet with your USB cables, they tend to drop out a little bit. So I prefer those cables. And I've had this one pre-pandemic, so it's lasted pretty well. And I've not broken it yet, so that's a good thing. Okay, flash in place. Come on, Katie, last one, in you come. So Katie is going to stand roughly where she was before. No boom arm, you'll notice. Oh, yes, Sam's just reminded me of something very important. Thank you very much. Just talk amongst yourselves for a second. Nothing to see. Actually, physically, literally nothing to see. There we go, let's plug that in. All will become clear in a little bit. So, Katie, let's bring you a little bit forward. Lovely. I'm just going to set up a really basic lighting, and then we're going to add in some grip arms to save me a ton of post-processing work. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to get my light nice and close, something like that. Maybe even closer, just for the fun of it. Did I get you with the... No, miles away. Miles away.
It was sudden.
Yeah, okay. Then all I need is my flash meter. Where's my flash meter? It's bright red, it's hanging off a light stand, and yet I still lose my flash meter every single time. I'm going to pop this near your chin, Katie. Here we go. F9, pretty close. We're on F8, a small tweak in the flash power, and we will be at F8. Let's take a test photo. So this is going to be sort of head and shoulders kind of picture. I'll take it out of black and white and put it back into colour. Here we go. Okay, pretty good. Not bad. It's okay. I mean, Katie, amazing. Me, that's the tricky bit. So that's okay. I'm thinking I might want to put a light into the background, just to put a spot of light back there. Now, if I was to get a light stand, I don't know, and I was to put a light on the top, and I put it in behind Katie, like that, if I'm doing a headshot, I'd be absolutely fine. But if I'm doing a full-length picture, here we go, Katie. I've got a lot of cloning to do. And depending on the light stand, that can be a real pain. So what I'm going to do is take my light stand and put it over to the side. Then I'll get an actual flash. Here's one. Here's one I prepared earlier. Let's lift that off there. Here we go. It's on group B, so we'll pop that to the side. And pop that in there. We'll get rid of the gel and the grid. I don't need either of those for this. So I could just do this. If I want to put a background light in, light to the side, job done. 1/16 power, let's try that. Here we go. Hang on, Katie. And it's not bad, actually. The trouble with this is it has an irregular shape. So it's sort of a different shape on the right to the left. I'd want to put it in the middle. That's why you put a light in the middle. You put a light in the middle because that's where you want to put a light. It gives a nice circle of light. So here's the fix. I need a grip arm. I'm going to grab a grip arm, one grip arm. I'm going to put my light on the grip arm. There we go. Pop it on there. Lock it in. Make sure it's nice and safe. And put the grip arm on the C-stand, and then get the whole thing and just sort of pop it out into the outer edge like that. I probably should grab a sandbag. Katie, could you just grab me any of those black sandbags from over there? They're quite heavy. Any apart from that one. Anyone, apart, literally anyone but that one. I know. I did say any black one, and that was black. Perfect. We're going to pop that there. There we go. So, Katie, if you'd like to go back in. So I have a grip arm extended out. Let's try the overhead view. Does that show us anything? Yeah, there we are. That's what we're looking for. You can actually see it. Here we go, Katie. In the photo. And you can see it in this photo as well. But when it comes to post-processing, that's one easy clone rather than one hard clone with lots of light stands appearing between Katie's legs and sticking in from the edges. The easier you can make your work, the better. So that simple clone out job, where before, much harder, complicated clone out job, but the light it produces is that nice round light. Beautiful. So I'll use grip arms to make my life a little bit easier, save me some post-processing time. Not remove it necessarily, but save it. We've got one more to do, and we are going to remove it. This is going to be fun. Okay, what could possibly go wrong? I thought, let's do something crazy at the end. We've got 7 minutes. We can do this in 7 minutes. If you've got a burning question that you wish to ask, you've got, well, less than 7 minutes to get it in the chat. Okay, here we go.
So Eric has asked, Halloween photo shoot this year?
Eric, when are we live next? 4 weeks today?
Yeah, we are live on the 27th of October.
27th of October?
Yeah, which is quite close, isn't it, to Halloween?
Yeah. What's the plan?
Well, I think everyone just has to come back and see.
And see what the plan is.
See whether it's spooky.
I think there's a high chance it might be Halloween themed. No spoilers. We don't know what it's going to be, but it's probably going to be Halloween themed. So I just need to find my slightly longer grip arm. So that was the short grip arm. Not going to extend it far enough. Let's grab the longer 40-inch grip arm. Pop it in. Here we go. And I'm going to point the lights not at the background, but I'm going to point them at Katie. Here we go. A couple of lights pointing at Katie, like that. Lose the gels. I'm going to make sure they're both turned on. Not that I've ever forgotten to turn a light on, ever. There we go, something like that. So we know that the front light is correctly exposed for Katie. I'm going to put both of those backlights onto 1/32 power. I don't know, we'll guess. Something like that. We'll do a nice little test photo. Here we go, Katie, test photo first. Fantastic. So I can have really bright backlit scenes. Now, normally you get the don't shoot into the light scenario. Ignore that. Shoot into the light. It's really good fun. Try it. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You just delete the photos. Do it at the end of your session. Okay, so we can do this. We can just shoot straight into the light. We've got 5 minutes, so I'm going to actually make it a bit more interesting than this, because I'm going to throw some gels on it. Let's grab the gels. I have the purple and blue. Is that complementary colours? Freya's nodding at me. You went to school more recent than me. Freya says that these are complementary colours. If you've got a problem with that, you can take it up with her in a live stream, because she's going live on Adorama XP in 1 hour and 5 minutes time. So if you're not happy with that, she's the one to blame. Go and tell her. Complementary colours, says Freya. Honestly, she's nodding away. She's like, yeah, I'm right. Okay, so adjusting for the gels by about a stop, because they're like little sunglasses. Okay, here we go. And rather than having white light, we now have coloured light. Not only coloured light, we have coloured catch lights as well. So we have a little bit of blue and a little bit of magenta. Do you think it should be the other way around? Oh, should have put it the other way around.
I'm going to read out a couple of comments.
Go for it.
You're doing that. So Molly said, I've been catching up on Gavin's last 10 years on YouTube. Just wanted to pass on my gratitude to Freya for being Gavin's model. And she appreciates all your time and patience.
Who, mine or Freya's?
Definitely Freya's.
Okay, I think that's going to be the right way around. So that's okay. It's missing one thing. We've got 3 minutes left. What should I add into this picture to make it awesome and dum-dum? How did you do that? You've broken the picture-in-picture. Don't worry. I know, it's all right. We've got 3 minutes to go. I know how to fix it. Oops. I'm just going to kill myself in the meantime by tripping over a sandbag, which is bright yellow. Okay, what am I going to use? Well, what do I always reach for? What makes everything awesome?
They're all on it. Smoke, smoke, smoke.
They're only here for the smoke.
Smoke.
Okay.
Fog machine, yay.
I don't know if you can pick it up on the cameras, Ray, but you might be able to sort of spin it around if you... Oh, you got it on the... Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah, oh, you can see the heater and you can see all the real mess on the corner over there. I'm just going to stand here, but then no one sees the mess.
That's real life.
That is. Okay, so a bit of smoke into the room. This will get very thick very quickly. It's fast dissipating smoke, but the minute it starts to get in front of the lights is when it starts to get interesting, because at the moment it's drifting behind and it's not really doing anything. Oh yeah, Katie, you don't have any problem with breathing in smoke, do you? No, you're fine. So, but as it moves around in the studio, as it comes in front of Katie, suddenly everything starts to become a little bit more interesting. And you never really know. You have zero control over smoke. You don't know what's going to happen. It's always unpredictable, which is what I love about smoke. I'm going to change that one. Let's change one of these to something a little bit different. I'm just looking at the results and fiddling with my flash settings as we go. Oh, a bit too bright. And that's what happens. A bit of smoke drifts in front and it acts like a massive softbox. Katie, don't worry about the photos, just keep going. I'll worry about the lights. And you'll notice that my grip arms are still there, but they're kind of disappearing into the smoke, into the flare. Fantastic. So good. You're in there somewhere.
Yeah, in it.
There you are. Let's add a bit more smoke. Let's finish off. A bit more smoke. Marvellous. Let's throw these back lights a bit further back. The further back I push my lights, the more smoke they have to go through. That's plenty. Okay, here we go. Fantastic. Changing key light as well, a bit brighter, here we go. Excellent. My camera's having a little bit of trouble focusing through the fog. Luckily I'm using f8, so I've got a lot of depth of field to play with. Having said that, it does actually need to focus. Fantastic, there we go. Let's probably put a stop there. So there's a little bit of cloning up to do. That is a very simple clone job to do. That's a very simple clone job to do. A little bit of contrast in there, and we have a fantastic photo. That was so much fun. You can't see it in here, but it's like you can only ever see smoke. This is a really important point. If you're photographing smoke, you only see it against a dark background. So you might be able to see a bit of it sort of round here. So I can see a lot of it when I look this way, but against this white wall, you barely even know it's there. So if you are going to use smoke, you need a dark background, which kind of leads us on to Halloween, doesn't it, really? Because I don't know what's happening for Halloween. I know we're going to be live in 4 weeks' time. I bet there's going to be some smoke. Put good money on that. Well, that brings us to the end of our live stream. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. I know there was at least 400 people watching it at some point. So if you haven't already done so, click the like button, click the subscribe button so you don't miss a video right here on Adorama TV, because we have new content pretty much every single day, more or less. We're going to be back in 4 weeks' time, live. Katie and I will be back in 1 week's time, recorded. You don't know what it's going to be. That's going to be fun. I know what the video is. It's amazing. It's incredible. So come and watch that. That's going to be fantastic. If you want to find out the links to the kit I've been using, they're in the video description somewhere down there. So go check those out. A few thank yous. Thank you very much to Adorama for doing all of this, making this possible for free so you can watch it. Huge thanks to Katie. Say thanks in the comments, everybody. Appreciate that. There you go. That's a virtual round of applause and a real one. Freya on the Super Switcher did a fantastic job. And Sam on the comments.
Thanks everyone for commenting and answering each other's questions, which you're really good at, and getting involved. Hopefully we'll see you all in 4 weeks' time.
In 4 weeks' time.
Spooky.
Fantastic. Can't wait for 4 weeks' time. Thank you, Katie. I'm Gavin Hoey. Thanks for watching.